finally, President Obama has delivered on his promise to bring in 10,000 refugees from Syria. Of course, the Republicans are very angry about this. They don't want to be humanitarian to anyone. God forbid we should be humane like humans. Democrats were actually pressing him a little bit. Actually, progressives were pressing him that he wasn't going to get it done in time, but he did. And they made the announcement today. The National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, said, our 10,000th Syrian refugee will arrive this afternoon. On behalf of the president and his administration, I extend the warmest of welcomes to each and every one of our Syrian arrivals, as well as the many other refugees resettled this year from all over the world. And it's true, there's more. It's about 85,000 overall that we've taken in. Now, for Republicans that are flipping out about that, let me explain context to you. That is an incredibly small number. Okay, and I'm going to tell you whether they're actually doing unbelievable terrorism in the country or not. Okay, because we've taken in more before. Now, of course, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump played on the nation's anxieties, as Think Progress explains, by saying, quote, there is no system to vet Syrian refugees, and a, quote, better, bigger, more horrible version of the legendary Trojan horse is what this policy is. PolitiFact checked Trump's statement and labeled it, quote, false. Totally false. Okay? Now, what is the reality? In fact, the U.S. has an extremely strenuous screening process for refugees, as shown in this, as they have a White House infographic on Think Progress's website. And you can check out that article in the link below. Then the 10,000 Syrians, 80% of whom are women or children, countering the right-wing narrative that most Syrian refugees are working-age men, were also vetted in this process, which took 18 to 24 months to complete, giving you a sense of, as usual, what an unbelievable liar Donald Trump is. There's no vetting process at all. It takes 18 to 24 months. It exists, and it's one of the most strenuous in the world. And 80% of the people we let in are women and children. Okay, well, since 9/11, we've let in a lot of people. How's that turned out for us? From some of these countries that are predominantly Muslim, from the Middle East, et cetera. Donald Trump says that's a disaster, and it's bound to blow up on us. Well, let's find out. More than 800,000 refugees have been resettled in the U.S. since 9/11. In those 14 years, exactly 3 resettled refugees have been arrested for planning terrorist activities. And it is worth noting that the 2 were not planning an attack in the United States, and the plans of the 3rd were barely credible, according to the Migration Policy Institute senior fellow Kathleen Newland. 3 out of 800,000. Actually 1, because the other guys weren't planning an attack here, which is the big warning that the Republicans say. That is an infinitesimally small percentage. If you're worried about 1 or 3 out of 800,000 chance of anything happening to you, you never leave the house. You have a so much higher chance of being in a car accident, so much higher chance of being shot by your redneck neighbor who is a second American patriot, and he's loaded with all sorts of arms in his house and can't wait to shoot anyone that steps on his lawn. Okay, yeah, now that might have been a little bit of a stereotype too. Okay, but overall, I want you to get in your heads, these chances are minute. The chance of being killed in a normal homicide involving a gun in America is infinitely higher. Much, much, much higher. Under that logic, if you don't want to take any chances, don't take any chances, then we should take away all the guns, because the guns kill a lot more people in America. It's a much higher percentage chance. Hey, if you don't want to take any chances, take away all the guns. Oh, I see. When it's your guns, you care. When it's other human beings, not so much. Okay, now I'll give you context on a worldwide scale. Is 10,000 a year a lot for refugees to take in? Australia, apparently a country known for not taking in very many refugees, is taking in 12,000 refugees, or they're planning to this year. That's higher than us, and obviously Australia, a much smaller country than the U.S. Canada, also much smaller than us, taking in 30,000. Germany, in 2016, they're going to take in 300,000 refugees from that area. In 2015, they took in 500,000. Okay, how about the countries that have taken in the most refugees from Syria? Lebanon is number 2 on the list with 1.1 million people that they took in, and Lebanon is a tiny country. And the fact that they're in the Middle East doesn't mean that they have to take in anybody. They're doing that, again, to do the right thing. there are many countries in the Middle East not taking in anybody. And number one on the list is Turkey at 2.5 million refugees that they've let in. Now, there's a lot of politics behind that, but overall, there are tiny little towns in Turkey near the Syrian border that have taken in more Syrian refugees than all of the United States of America with our over 300 million people here. So if you think it's a big deal that, wow, we let in 10,000 Syrian refugees, no, it actually should be a source of not pride but shame for us at how little we have done for people who are running away from ISIS, for monsters, and for those people looking to protect their kids and look for hope and the American dream, that we only let 10,000 of them in after vetting them for 18 to 24 months. Look at what it says on the Statue of Liberty. We can do a lot better than this. And there are so many other countries doing that much better. And by the way, Germany, it's not like their economy is hurting at all. They're in great shape. And over the last 2 years, 800,000 refugees. And again, a country significantly smaller than the United States. Sign up for membership at tytnetwork.com/join and get the whole 2-hour show commercial free, plus post games.